breaking up the afternoon after lunch with a panel. If I could call up a few ladies here. Dr. Tuby, wait on coming up. I'll do Kimberly Mitchell, Cheryl James, Cari Kenzi, Bronwyn Davis, Natalie Bowers, and Imen Clark. As we're getting all the chairs set up and you want to come up here. This is our Ask Anything About Business panel. So this is a really good panel for you to ask specific business questions. So I'm very excited about this one. And as I'm getting ready here, Dr. Tuby is a business growth and high performance coach with over 30 years of experience in corporate sales, education, and event production. After losing 6 figures, I don't know if anyone's listening to me. Shh. Listen to this. Dr. Tuby said after losing 6 figures during the pandemic, she rebuilt from scratch, earning her doctorate in organizational leadership and development and creating the resilient business blueprint, which tripled her revenue in 12 months. Please help me welcome Dr. Tuby to the stage.
All right, you guys having fun? All right. So this panel is all about business, and I love this topic, when to ask for help in your business. Right? And that, what an important topic. I heard it so much even in the other topics, even though it was about networking. It's an important thing that we want to talk about today. And so, how many of you feel like there's an area of your business that you need helping? Can you raise your hand?
No.
We're doing a good job, right? Because I know as women, and especially as high-achieving women, we like to have it all and say, like, we don't need help, but I love the fact that we have this opportunity to talk about this. So let us get started with the panel. So first we're going to start with just introducing each panelist. And then what I did was curated some questions based on each panelist's zone of genius. Do you guys all know your zone of genius? Right? So you get your zone of genius, and I know that they can answer every question, but I wanted them to really give them an opportunity to go deep into their area. Okay, so is that fine? Okay, so the first question, we're going to first introduce, so just pass the mic, introduce yourself, and then I'll go ahead and go into the question.
Thank you. So I'm Natalie Bowers. I am Vice President of Business Banking. I'm the Market Manager for SunWest Bank. We are headquartered in Utah, but we have 2 locations here in Arizona. Not to be confused with SunWest Federal Credit Union. It is SunWest Bank. We are a business bank. I've been in banking for almost 26 years, and when I'm not doing banking duties, I am cheering on my son, who's fighting for his pro MMA debut this year, and then I'm also a favorite Red Cross board member for the Central Arizona chapter.
Hi, I'm Kimberly Mitchell. I own Home with Health, which is a non-medical home care agency. We have about 200 caregivers around the valley, and we serve clients all over, but only here in Redwood County. Sorry, that's that question all the time. I'm a mom of 2. I have one daughter at Barrett at ASU and one in 8th grade. So I'm just waiting for the next 4.5 years to
I'm Cari Kenzi, founder of Kenza. We are a leadership and legacy advisory firm specializing in exit and succession strategy for female founders. I exited my first business in 2019. I grew a multi-million-dollar marketing trade show and event firm. Sold it a year to the day before COVID hit. I'm grateful for that all the time. And now take all of those lessons and learnings and pass them forward. I am also a mom. I've got 2 in college and 1 who's in school.
Okay. I just first want to say thank you so much to Catherine. Oh my gosh, everything you have done today, and Colleen, amazing what you have created over the years. I'm Bronwyn Davis, and I'm the founder of Conscious Ketamine Assisted Coaching. I'm also a certified high performance coach. I've been a coach for over 25 years. I've coached over 4,000 one-on-one high performance coaching sessions. I have an extensive background
Thank you so much for having me. I'm Imen Clark. I am the founder and CEO of Prickly Pear. I moved to the US 9 years ago. If you're wondering about the accent, there is usually a guess game in the end of where do you think I'm from. I moved to Arizona 2 years ago, and I am a tech CEO. Usually this is a guy who would say that, but cheers to women in tech and making life better. So what we were able to build is an AI system that is built by women for women to champion women's brain health and change the narrative of how we thrive during and beyond reproductive years. So thank you for being here.
Shout out to the women in tech. I am Cheryl James, CL James Consulting. I'm founder and chief fractional officer for, all that means is I do operations, guys. But I do all of the things back end. So all of the tech that makes you look good, from automations and workflows and your email campaigns and all of those things that you are required to do in your business that, quite honestly, never gets done.
All right, so give it up for our panelists. All right, so we're going to start off these questions with Miss Cheryl. Let me make sure I get your question here. And so Cheryl, you're a fractional, I'm sorry, where are you? There you are. You are a fractional COO and systems expert.
Yes.
Nice. So Cheryl, you help women streamline operations and scale through systems. From that operational lens, how does a woman know she's waited too long to ask for help? And what kind of support makes the biggest impact when it's time to delegate?
You should have left it.
It is time to ask for help when it's midnight and you're trying to figure out why your newsletter didn't go out. That's generally a good time to ask. Good indication. Or the other symptom that I hear is, I just don't have time. You should be spending your time in your zone of genius. That's where the revenue happens. That's where the magic happens. That's where the you things happen. And I always tell women, what is that a you thing? Meaning, are you the only one who can do that? And are you doing it any justice and giving it any value? So like to Dawn's point, she hates tech. She shouldn't do it. And we have to be honest with ourselves about that. I think that from my standpoint, the thing that makes the biggest difference in most businesses is automating repetitive tasks. If you are sending out the welcome email, if you are doing the same invoice over and over, if you are manually following up with the 500 people you met in the last 6 months at networking events, that is not you time. That is when you need to ask for help, and you need to get someone like me or one of these ladies here to help you put systems and processes in place that allow you to generate revenue.
Pass that to Natalie. Okay. Natalie. Oh, actually me, I guess. I gotta ask my question. Okay. Well, thank you so much for that, Cheryl. So Natalie, you see so many entrepreneurs managing cash flow and growth. So from a financial perspective, how can women recognize when it's time to bring in help, whether that's a bookkeeper, CFO, or someone to manage the money systems before things get stressful?
So being in banking for almost 26 years, starting as a teller, making my way to branch manager, business banking, commercial banking, I've seen all kinds of life stages of a business. So the best time is going to be right at the beginning. If you don't get your advisory team in place, and it's all of those, it's your CFO, it is, even if it's fractional CFO, outsource it, an accountant, a strong business attorney, because contracts can set you back. And then of course, having a an educated, and I don't mean education like book smarts, I mean someone who understands the financial services industry, answer that call for you. When you pick up the phone to call your bank, you should be able to get a banker on the phone, not press 1 for this or 2 for that. So as an entrepreneur, or whether you're in the midst of your success of your business, or you're thinking about sunsetting it, it's imperative to get your bank involved when you don't need them.
Awesome. All right. Thank you so much. Give it up for her. All right. The next question is for Kimberly. So Kimberly Mitchell, Kimberly, you lead a team that supports others for a living, right? In a service-based business where compassion and care are central, how do you know when it's time to ask for help, and how do you do it without guilt or fear of losing quality?
Oh boy. Well, I'm a recovered Catholic, so the guilt part, I don't have any of that anymore. I think that it starts kind of with the mindset, first of all, sort of getting your head in the right place, that asking for help is not a weakness. Mm-hmm. And like for me, I'm almost done with my 11th year. So the very first year, it was my husband and I. And each year was, we just add on a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more. And there was always kind of that fine line, usually about money. It was like, when can we afford to do the next thing? But if we don't do the next thing, then you're not going to grow. Mm-hmm. And so it's, there's that. And I think a lot of it's kind of going with your gut sometimes too. And surround yourself around people that are much smarter than you and lean on all of their wisdom and knowledge, I think is huge.
All right, awesome. Give it up for Kimberly. All right, so the next question is for me. So Dr. Tuby, I'm gonna ask you, how do you discern, what's meant to carry and what's meant to be delegated? I love this question I actually had ChatGPT pick these questions for me, so I didn't pick my own question. But I put in each lady's AI, we're talking about AI, each lady's zone of genius and how I wanted it to go, and it came up with these great questions. Aren't these great questions so far? Okay, so I think for me, it's all about leadership. It's all about your zone of genius. I like to talk about something called revenue generating tasks. So putting ourselves where we matter the most and where we can make the most impact and delegate the rest. Like you're talking about admin and emails and, I love automations, I love systems, I love all that kind of great stuff. It's really freeing, but understanding that we don't have to do it all. Somebody say, I don't have to do it all. You don't have to do it all. And a lot of times I have a 29-year-old, a 27-year-old, and a 14-year-old. And, he just got off the bus and said, Mom, I'm home now. And I said, go order Uber Eats and everything. Yesterday, I was like, making rice and doing all that. Today, I was like, you know what? You're going to get Uber Eats. I'm at a conference today. I'm not going to wake up early to make the thing. We don't have to do it all. So what can we delegate, right? What can we do that isn't going to allow us to, because when you're stuck in the weeds and being the bottleneck of your own business, you can't come and network like this, you can't come and do things like that. So understanding your capacity is very important, and just understanding that you don't have to do everything. And that's when you get and network with women like this, women on your table, and people that can help you grow. Because a lot of times we're hindering our own growth, we're in our own way, trying to do everything, and then we're burnt out and we're tired, right? So happy that we're talking about this, such an important topic. So, all right, was that helpful? Yeah. Okay, give it up for the ladies as I get to the next question. Okay, so the next question is going to be for Imen. All right, awesome. So you're the CEO of Prickly Pear Health, Women's Hormonal and Brain Health. Imen, from your lens on women's brain and hormonal health, what physical or mental cues signal that it's time to ask for help? And how can founders help those signals before burnout sets in?
Thank you for the question. So I'm going to say some numbers, and those are not to instill fear, but to urge actions. 70% of the Alzheimer's population are women. Women are twice as likely to be diagnosed with depression and anxiety, and 3 to 4 more times more likely to experience migraines. all of those until they get diagnosed. So the truth is there is no time to ask for help, but to be proactive about it. And while things like dementia will appear after you're 65 and 75, and many people think those are genetics, actually we control them with lifestyle that are more about regular exercise, restorative sleep, what kind of inflammatory foods we could have, what kind of mental stimulation that is coming from social activity that we can be able to do for our brains, as well as stress management, because usually untreated anxiety or PTSD or depression could cause these things. And yet for women, we normalize the pain, painful periods, painful labor, postpartum, perimenopause, brain fog. Until we have hot flashes, there is nothing to deny anymore that we are in menopause, that then we are saying there is something to be done. And for all the women who were told before, nothing is wrong with you, it's all in your head, change the doctor, write a journal. Yes, be able to advocate for yourself. You have choices and you don't have to settle down for that. So I also like to say that it's like brushing your teeth. You don't start taking care of your teeth when they decay. You every day brush them. So take the time for some self-care, because we cannot pour from an empty cup. So thank you.
All right, I love that. I love that. So good. Okay, the next question is for Bronwyn. All right, Bronwyn, you're a certified high-performance coach and founder of Conscious Ketamine Coaching Academy, right? Okay, so you help transform through mental wellness and consciousness work. From your coaching and high-performance perspective, how can women recognize the emotional or mental fatigue that says it's time to get help? And what kind of support, coaching, healing, or mindset work creates that breakthrough?
Thank you. And I just want to acknowledge all of you for a moment. What a beautiful group here. And I know that each one of us is living with something, whether it's someone you care about is going through something, or you are going through something. And again, I just want to normalize us talking about the hard things, the challenging things that in the past they just didn't speak about. So what would I say to that question is, when I find myself not doing the things that I know are best for me, like self-care, when I find myself saying, I don't have time to exercise, or I don't have time to prepare a healthy meal for myself and my family, I don't have time, that's a cue for me that I need to buckle down and double down on self-care, because I've already gone beyond. And I know we as women, we do so much for everyone else, and we do it at our detriment, especially if we're not holding strong boundaries. We end up giving, we pour into everyone else, and if we are not taking the time to pour into ourselves, we are going to run into problems. I know this personally because I experienced debilitating burnout, debilitating anxiety. I did what everyone knows in our society to do when I was feeling this way, and that was to go to conventional talk therapy. That worked to an extent, but it also, for me, opened up the door to look outside the box. I jumped out of that box and, like my dear friend Patsy says, stomped on that box and started looking outside the box for alternative healing. There is so much out there for us. Therapeutic ketamine is one way, it's one healing modality that is cutting edge, it's science-backed, and it absolutely transformed my life and those who I serve. I have worked with, as I mentioned, hundreds of high performers, and now incorporating the therapeutic ketamine is absolutely life transforming to help them get that one shift perspective and gain the clarity on purpose and passion. So I feel very, very grateful and blessed to be working with a healing modality that is outside the box. So thank you.
All right, I'm going faster so we can have more time for Q&A. So let me know how many minutes we have. So Cari, next question is, as someone who works deeply in mindset and motivation, what's the internal shift a woman must make to actually receive help once she realizes that she needs it?
We, as women, because we're so high capacity and high achieving, don't like to ask for help. And quite honestly, we can do it all. I mean, let's just be real about it. So you step into a business, you start the business, and you're doing all of the things. The hardest thing for a founder to do, for a business owner to do, is to start releasing control. Because it is built with your blood, sweat, tears, and it is your dream. And you are going to protect that dream. The shift that has to happen is this. One, you have to know you are worthy and valuable in order to be able to ask for help, period. You have to know that who you are, just in the essence of you walking into a freaking room, is valuable. When you know you're valuable and the gift that you bring is worthy, then you don't have a problem with asking other people for help. And I actually call it more, instead of a delegation, more of an alignment. Meaning that you become so aligned in the gift and the beauty and the ability that you have, that you understand that play over there, not mine to have. That play over there, I get to give to somebody else and allow them to step forward in their brilliance and genius. I'm not going to take that away from them anymore. But you have to come into that mindset shift. What happens too often is instead of asking and receiving help, we end up in a place where we need a savior. And when we need a savior, that's when shit really gets messy. Let's just be real about it, okay? That's when we put in systems that don't work and we're grasping onto people who aren't helpful, and they end up draining a system that is already drained. Then we fall into full burnout. Then our businesses no longer have the same kind of value or are as transitionable as they had been in the beginning. So first, you have to know that just who you are and the genius that you have is worthy and it's valuable. When you understand that, you can ask for help. When you ask for help, allow yourself to receive it. And receive it before you need a savior.
So good, so good. Can you guys give it up for all these ladies? Oh my goodness. So I'm gonna do a closing summary of this, and then we're gonna open it up for Q&A. Is that 10 minutes with Q&A or just 10 minutes for the panel? Oh, okay. So we're talking about systems and self-care and, getting financial help and things like that. But one thing I want to point out too is in my story, Colleen talked about the pandemic. We own an event company, and in 2020, how many people remember March of 2020 when the world shut down and we own events and they said no more events? We lost $140,000 of revenue in 1 month. And we had to move 2 warehouses, pay employees, and I didn't know what to do. And God said, go back to school. And I said, go back to school. And he gave me a plan that I couldn't really understand yet. And I began to try to figure out what else can I do besides brick and mortar. And I branched into the online space. Well, God brought someone in my life and taught me about high ticket and stuff like that. And the reason I'm saying this, and I'm so passionate about this, because I see a lot of women, like I said, still trading that time for money. And it's hard to ask for help when you're broke. It's hard to ask for help when you need to pay for help. So one of the things I feel is one of the bottlenecks and one of the boulders of asking for help is you want to do it all by yourself because you don't have money to pay anyone. And if you can get your offers converting, if you can get away from low ticket offers and sell the promise and sell the result and not necessarily sell your time, and package your expertise. How many of you guys have years of expertise that could help someone get through some pain and have the solution to someone else's hell? And if you can communicate that clearly, somebody will gladly pay you to get them out of a solution that you actually have the solution for. But the problem that we have is, as women, we don't sometimes feel that value. We don't know how to communicate that value. So I feel like if we can get our offers converting, we can hire help, we can hire people to help us, and then we can scale our businesses. Gives us time for self-care, hire a financial person, and do all this other stuff. But we've got to get our offers converting. And so anyway, we're going to have each person talk about a little bit about what they do to help us in that area. So that kind of took that reign and saying, so if you need help with your offer, if you don't have a high ticket offer, I can help you. If you want to scale your offer through systems and people and do virtual events, and you want to turn your story and monetize your message, I can help you with that. I also have Find My Doer, which is where I train VAs. I have 3 executive assistants that work with me right now, and my business is running in the background while I'm here. And so they're doing admin, they're doing emails, they're doing audit, you have to have a human run the ChatGPT, guys. They got to check the stuff, and they got to do that. So they're trained in all kind of AIs, because I still don't want to do that, right? And so if you need that help, they're like $4, $5, $6, $7, $8 an hour. And so I can help you find one, and a trained one. So I have a training portal that helps you train them so that you can run your business and do other things without being in your business, okay? So that's what I do to help. And then I'm in the back. I have self-care journal as well. I'm giving a free ticket to my masterclass called Command and Convert to help you convert your offers. And that's on December 3rd. So if you come by and see me, and then we're going to pass down, and each lady is going to end up with what they can help us with.
So Natalie with SunWest Bank. The problem is there are so many banks and credit unions and financial tech companies, fintech, that can move your money around. But the difference is when you walk into a bank and you need a cashier's check, or you need a notary, or you need to understand how to sign loan documents, or you need a small business loan, be it through SBA or through conventional lending, you need a human being to talk to, and you need somebody who's empathetic with what stage you're in your banking. That's what I offer with this 26 years of experience. I fell into banking. I didn't choose it. It kept me going. I grew up in banking, and I love sharing my knowledge, and if it doesn't come out in the passion here, wait till you see me when I'm at my desk just chipping away at a loan or trying to get that deal approved, because I believe in my businesses, and I live vicariously through my business owners. I love hearing about their success from beginning to end.
All right, awesome. Nice. I can help anybody with anything senior related. I only provide non-medical home care services, but I'm usually not the only one that needs to be in the house. So eventually home health needs to be in there, hospice needs to be in there. They might need rehab. Any senior thing that you can think of. Once they're not really safe at home anymore, then they need to be placed, so we partner with placement agents. So basically any senior question anybody has, if I don't know it, I know somebody that does.
Fabulous. Okay, I'm going to add to what I talked about earlier. So I'm just going to drop a little value. Can I do that? Again, Cari, I help businesses build value, develop leadership teams, protect their legacy, and transition into freedom or exit their companies wealthy. That's what I do. What I would say, I'm going back to that receiving help thing again, as a solopreneur or as an entrepreneur. I will tell you that in my businesses, especially in my first business, I went through the 08-09 recession. I went through 9/11. I mean, you talk about all of the incidents you could go through. The end of 2009, I had 2 employees, and I had been running that business for years. We were growing and expanding up until that point, and then it started to shrink. And the best, hardest decision I ever made at that moment was to hire a COO. And I was not in a financial position to think this was the best decision to do. However, I knew I could no longer do everything. And it was not going to be wise for me to try to continue doing everything. When I brought that individual in, my business started to skyrocket. So sometimes we have to take that step forward in faith. And we have to understand where it is that I'm best positioned in the organization. Am I best positioned in sales? What is it that I can do in order to be able to build the business forward, and who can I bring alongside with me? But again, it's a step forward in faith in order to make that happen.
So where I can, just for a moment, I would like to speak to your brains, to your mindset, to your thoughts. If you find yourself looping in negative thoughts, or you find yourself stuck, on average, we as humans, we have 60,000 thoughts per day. 95% of those thoughts are the same ones we had yesterday and the day before and the day before. Of those 95%, 85% of those are negative. So it's no wonder that we find ourselves stuck at times, stuck in a loop. And if you are not waking up in the morning feeling energized and empowered and invigorated about your day, come see me. I work with a healing modality that is a reset, a reboot. It is a disruptor for those thoughts, and it is researched, science-backed, and it's an opportunity to get a fresh start. Thank you.
So I have a question for the room. How many in the room use a to-do list for work? Please raise your hand. Okay, awesome. How many of you have a to-do list for self-care? Okay, more than I expected, but still very little. And building on the power of thought. So now, imagine in the morning, you wake up while you're having that tea or that coffee, and you are able to voice journal your thoughts and speak them out loud while being prompted of what do you want to make out of that day, what is your goal of that day, and what are you planning on doing that will bring you joy that day. Based on your responses, we analyze your tone, we understand your mood, your energy, even when you are not realizing that you are actually sad. And then you can connect it with your wearable devices if you wear an Apple Watch, a Whoop, a ring, an Oura ring, etc. Or even if you connect it to your cycle tracking app or nutrition app tracking. And then from there, it automatically generates a personalized, actionable list for each one of you that has exactly what exercise you should do that day, what should you eat that day, what friend you should call that day, what walk you should take, and everything that you have to do without having to think about it. Now, with time, that also gives you longitudinal data. So when you go back to that doctor that I spoke about earlier, and they said it's in your head, you can show them the proof of what you've been doing and where you were falling short. And to be able to access that, we are live on the App Store, coming soon to Android. I know Tish is showing me, she's been using it, and download the Prickly Pear app and be able to transform how your day starts and how you reflect on it with data and AI.
I can help with all of your technology and operational needs. Long before I started my own business and became an entrepreneur, I spent 27 years really supporting Fortune 100 companies. So when you can sit in a room with the CEO of Microsoft and give him direction on how they were going to build their chatbot, I think I can help you.
All right.
I know, seriously.
So we have time for a few questions. We're going to go ahead and open it up to the audience. I'm going to go right over here because you're the first one that rose your hand. Go ahead and stand up.
Cheryl, this question is for you. I've heard you speak in the past on AI and the automation process, and that's something that we touched on earlier today. This is kind of a logistics question-ish. It's a little bit more down to the numbers, I think. One of the things that we've touched on, or that you've touched on in the past, is training your AI, because we want to make sure that the AI that's doing the work for us sounds like us, sounds like a person. My question is, how much time should we realistically be expected to put in that training, and then at what point do we know that we've put in enough work to kind of let that digital baby bird fly?
I like digital baby bird. It's no firm answer. However, what I will say, part of the challenge with AI is that most people are not using it correctly. We are in ChatGPT using it like Google. That's not the answer. We need to start using whatever AI tool that you're using, start talking to it like a toddler, and then train it up. So one tip I always give, if you are having AI write something, and this is what most people do, AI will write it for you, you'll take it out of the AI tool, and then you'll tweak it. And then you do whatever you're going to do with it. But if you never feed it back to the AI, it will never learn. So when I'm working with a client around AI, what I do is I say, give me all your blogs, give me all of your documents that you've created. Let's start by feeding all of that into it. And as a result, it will cut your training time in half.
This is for Cheryl again. So I want to know if what's the most common tool saving time that you find that people just don't realize whatsoever? Because I want to know that what to fix, like when I leave here.
That answer varies too, because it really depends on what you do and where you spend most of your time. So I'm going to answer that question a little differently. I think the most common challenge that we have as solopreneurs and entrepreneurs is that we have too many tools. We are spending money. You meet Catherine at a networking event, she tells you what she's using, you think she looks good out here, so you go get it. Let's be honest, that is what we do. There's no real research or rhyme or reason to it. So one of the things I really try to do when I work with someone is first try to save them money. By reducing the number of tools, making sure that we're using what I call multi-purpose tools that don't just have one use. Like, why just pay for Calendly and then pay for FreshBooks and pay for this and then pay for that? Let's get something that does all of these things and does it well, and then let's implement them. So I think that's the first thing to do, is to look at your tool stack and determine how much redundancy you have there and start there.
Hi, this question's for Natalie. I'm Veronica Bond. I have a question. Sometimes women will go to a personal banker. I've had this experience, and even myself, because I think I'm not ready for that loan, or I don't know the minimum I can get, or on average, what would you say a really good number is for an entrepreneur to come in for the first time in a bank and either talk to you about an SBA or see if they can qualify? Is it a 5? Is it a 10? Is it 25,000? Like, what would you suggest they come into you from a strategic space to get to know you and then know how to set their business up for some strategy and success with the personal banker?
Great question. So in banking, we're all about mitigating risk. And if we're talking about lending, we're not going to lend to anybody that's been in business less than 3 years, because we want to see 3 years of financials. We want to make sure you're profitable. We want to make sure you have your budgets and your employees all taken care of, because we want to make sure our loan is paid back. Even if you're using collateral like a building or your receivables or equipment. We're not collateral lenders, we're cash flow lenders. So to answer your question, I think it's imperative that you build a relationship with your banker from either right before or at the time you file your organization documents. Now, you're not going to be ready for lending yet, but your banker is going to have resources and tools to connect you to other institutions that can lend to you. There are angel investors, there's private equity, there's all kinds of alternatives to traditional banking. But trust your banker to have that conversation. When your banker asks you to go to lunch,
go to lunch. Make that time, because we're not doing it just to chit chat about the Kardashians. We're doing it to truly understand your business. We want to know, when did you start? What's your exit plan? At least that's my way that I approach it. I make sure that I stay educated not only on banking and the regulations that affect knowing your accounts and the cybersecurity threats that are out there and the embezzlement opportunities that people have when they have bad actors either in their business or in their family, or how people act when you're about to die because you're incapacitated and now your trust has to come in and take place. There's so many aspects of banking outside of just loans and deposits, but I will hold that there because I want to make sure I give respect to the rest of my panelists. If you guys have more questions, feel free to reach out.
All right. I think that's it. So let's give a big round of applause for Dr. Tuby and the Ask Anything for Business panel. Be sure to find these ladies if you have deeper questions for them. Very important. So as all of you might remember, we are doing a fundraising today for the House of Refuge, and I would love to set a goal for $1,000 that we could raise today. We're at $600 so far. You can come over here to purchase raffle tickets from Jacqueline Cruz at House of Refuge. Please go see her. We are getting ready to take our last break. Make sure all of your raffle tickets end up in the buckets over here, and this will be your last chance, vendors, to do the raffles at your table. Have a wonderful break, ladies.